Hey, well, I was just getting ready to put all this up and to kind of break camp, I guess. And I was looking through uh, my notebook and came across something that I wrote down a while back. And it's kind of funny because Mr. Michael Tutton was talking about it on the Texas Survival Texas Survival School Facebook page, and I commented on there and told him that, oh yeah, I was planning on doing a video on that a while back. So um, I figured while we were here, I could just go ahead and talk about it real quick. The question that he put up was, what do you think the uh, biggest differences are between bushcraft and what everybody called camping growing up? And it's a really interesting subject because, you know, a lot of us knew all this as camping growing up, and now that everybody's calling it bushcraft, it's kind of like, well, let's see if I can get comfortable in this. Now that everybody's calling it bushcraft, it's kind of like, well, what's the difference? Like, that's what I called camping growing up. That's what was just a normal thing for us when I was a kid, and I know that that's true. I really do. I do know that that's true for most people, especially people that are older that have been doing this. But I do think there's a difference between bushcraft, woodcraft, camping, and actual survival. Now, on the surface, that seems pretty simple when you say it. It really does. It's like, well, of course there is. A survival situation is where you're in dire need of food, water, shelter, and, for sure rescue. And that is true. But I think what a lot of people talk about when they ask that question is survival skills, survival skills training, preparing yourself if you are in a survival situation. And for me, I feel like there's a big difference between bushcraft and survival, and pertaining to survival skills and learning what to do if you are in a situation like that. And the thing that I see a lot of is that people want to split those two in separate categories. And in a way they are, but also in a way you can't have one without the other. Or let me say, you shouldn't have one without the other, in my opinion. I think you'll be better prepared for a survival situation if you understand some basic woodcraft and bushcraft skills. Because if you're going to have to be in a situation where you understand that you're now in a survival situation, if you're going to have to be in that, why not make it as comfortable and as hassle free as you can? And for me, that's what bushcraft and woodcraft does a lot of. And then it also ties into working with nature instead of working against it. So what I wrote down was the topic of the video, I guess, would be forward thinking as a woodsman. And sorry, sorry, forward thinking as a woodsman. And what I mean by that is to constantly be planning your next move. So me coming out here and setting up this tarp, I don't have to do that. I can look at the tarp and I can sit at home and I can think of configurations that would work with it and lay it out on my floor and do that. I could even go in my backyard and, you know, or down the street or whatever, and set up this tarp. But if I'm thinking ahead of, if I carry this with me and this is in uh, my camping or bushcraft kit, and I haven't explored all the options as to what I can do with this tarp, uh, how am I preparing myself for a situation that the trees may not be lined up like this, and I might have to tie it in a different way? And that's just one small example of what I mean by forward thinking as a woodsman. Uh, Understanding what a pine tree can do for you and pre-harvesting certain things from it. You're forward thinking for an issue where you might need fat wood to get a fire started if there's none around you. Even forward thinking as a woodsman to the sense of reading and learning and studying specific pine trees in your area that you might be in or that you might be traveling to, so that if you don't have a chance to pre-plan and get fat wood or pine sap or whatever, you at least know what the tree looks like and how to harvest from it or where it might be, locations, just constantly thinking ahead. And I don't I don't think we place enough importance on that as woodsmen. Regardless of whether you call yourself a bushcrafter, a camper, a woodcrafter, a survivalist, whatever, the fact is that a lot of that you're doing is out in the woods. Unless you're just strictly urban survival or whatever, and then, you know, you probably look pretty weird running around in camo in the middle of the city. But regardless, most of us are woodsmen if we spend time in the woods and enjoy the woods. And to go with that too, I'm kind of going on some rabbit trails considering what I wrote down in this notebook, but I've seen some videos too of people saying that if you're not, how can I say this? If you're not spending so much time out here in the woods, if you're not staying overnight, if you're not uh, hanging out and doing this stuff so much time of your week or of your month or whatever, you can't consider yourself a woodsman. And that's false, in my opinion. That's utterly and completely false. I live in a city. I live in a metropolitan city that doesn't have near the options of doing this kind of stuff as what other cities have, and or smaller cities. And for me to hear that if I don't spend so many days a week or whatever out in the woods, that I can't be considered a woodsman is baloney, because the opposite could be said and still be true. You could spend every day for 3 weeks straight out here in the woods and not be a woodsman, because all you do is stay in your tent that you bought from a big box store and stay right next to it, and you bring a cooler and have enough rations to last you for a week, and then you walk out and go to the store, refill, and come back out. You're just camping, you know. It doesn't. A woodsman is, to me, is someone who is comfortable being in the woods like they're comfortable being at home. And that comfort doesn't come from this stuff, from this gear, from these tarps, from these knives, boots. That comfort comes from you finding peace, and you finding happiness, and you investing your time and your energy in and out of the woods, on the woods. So even though I live in a city and I don't have woods like this in my backyard, I still spend every day doing something to further my knowledge on this environment, on different skills and different plants and wildlife uh, and nature and how it works. Like I do that when I'm at my home, so that when I come out and I get a chance to come out and stay in the woods, I can practice those things, or I can see that stuff happen firsthand. That when the season changes, this plant will do that, and I can see, okay, we're in that season, and I see that plant doing that. That's awesome. And to me, that's what a woodsman is about. A woodsman is being someone that a woodsman is being someone that finds happiness and joy in just being out here, and because they know that they get that happiness and joy from being out here, they want to do more than just come and camp and cook food on a fire. They want to learn everything they can about it, and 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 grow in their knowledge and in their research and in their application and in their skills. You know, they want to be a part of this. And for me, I can personally say, like, this is my passion. This is what truly makes me happy, and something in life that I could do at any point of any day of the week and it would make me happy. And if you can't say that about yourself, you know, then change it up. You know, don't be afraid. Like, buy a new book, or buy, you know, whatever, or get online and learn a new skill from watching somebody else do it, and then go out and do it yourself, and practice it till you can't do it wrong. Um, that's what this stuff's about for me. And I know I'm 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 going on a rant, but you know, just if you don't find happiness in doing this, and this doesn't make you happy, then just don't do it. Do something that makes you happy. None of us want to not do anything, or none of us want to do anything that doesn't make us happy. So I wrote down here, understanding how nature works and our place in it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that we have to be hippies. It just means we respect what we love. So, and an example I said is we respect our property and possessions. So, I respect and am thankful for my vehicle, and because of that, I want to get its oil changed. I want to get new tires. I want to maintain it. I want to not go and run it off a bridge or wreck it into a building. Like, I respect and cherish that possession. So, in the same way, if I really love doing this and I really have a passion for doing this and I respect this environment, then I have to treat it accordingly, and I have to understand how this works and how I fit into it without disrespecting it. And it can come off as sounding like, you know, you're some hippie that is talking to trees and, you know, running around with woods fairies on your shoulders and dancing in circles and stuff, praying for rain. But that's not it at all. It's a balance of, you know, moving through these woods and staying in these woods, and not changing them drastically, you know, not altering its course, because every tree and every plant in the woods and in the forests are fighting for their lives every day. We have become a society that can go and crave our hunger by going through a drive-through or getting something from the grocery store, or whatnot, and that keeps us from having to fight for our life as far as starving to death. But those laws don't apply out here, and I know this is all like really simple thinking, you know, like stuff that should just come to anybody, but until you really stop and think about it and look at it, you know, you have to respect nature and the woods when you understand that. Because to see a tree fighting or an animal fighting for its life every day, and then you go and clean out all the animals that you can because you want to have a bunch of food, or you want to go and cut down all these trees in your area because you like that wood and you want to carve and make all this cool stuff and post it on Facebook, like, you're just making it that much harder for what you love to continue being there. And I'm not, this is just me talking. I haven't seen any of this, thank God, in our community and in the different groups and stuff, but I know it happens. So that's what I mean by forward thinking, as a woodsman, understanding that uh, you have to harvest certain trees in certain ways for you to maintain the area that you're in. If you own property and you want to enjoy it and you want to have uh, a healthy woods and a healthy forest 20 years from now, you have to understand that kind of stuff. You have to understand how nature works and how it gives and takes it on its own without you being there. Um, and I found a couple of things on the way in here that'll work really well to kind of explain this. But um, let's see what else. Yeah, and then I wrote down setting up our personal space slash our woods for future resources and success. So this is where I started writing down some stuff that I was looking into. Uh, Man, I wrote this down months ago, but the topic came up in a Facebook group, and I felt like this would be a good time to discuss it. But before I can, I actually need to pack this stuff up and head back closer to where I came in at, and I'll keep this going and discuss it with you. So bear with me. Let me get this stuff torn down, and I'll get back with you in a second, guys.